Spanish being my native language, and the word magic, right? I don't want to assume that the reason why you selected the word Magico is because it means magic, but I could be right, I could be wrong. Tell me what led to you, labeling the company Magico instead of Wolf loudspeakers.
Wolf Audio, yeah. Early 70s, a fantastic jazz album, one of my favorite of all time. It's called Magico. I highly recommend that you seek it out. It's actually available on vinyl, but also in high res. And when I needed a name for my design company, I've done a lot of CAD design over the years while building speakers on the side. Did 3D animation and had a company. I thought I'll call it Magico. It kind of fits the animation, design, video games, production, etc. vibe. And I used that name just because I liked the album so much.
Okay, let's talk about your design philosophy as far as loudspeakers. A lot has been said about speaker coloration. Some speakers have a certain type of sound, and others that are absolutely colorless. They have no soul, or they have absolutely no sound signature. They are simply about the facts. What is your take on that? What is your take with regards to speakers that have a coloration, whether it is because they use paper drivers, and some say paper drivers tend to be more musical, or maybe they use a ribbon tweeter. What is your design philosophy? Which way do you lean, and why?
Well, I lean to basically move out of the way. I am not building a musical instrument. I am not looking to enhance the sound that is arriving at me, at the speaker. I am trying to move out of the way to transfer the electrical energy that is coming the speaker way, to transfer it to a mechanical energy with the least amount of losses possible. Sounds like, well, that's probably what everybody is trying to do. I mean, why would you want to add sound to the signal that you're trying to reproduce? And I don't really think people are trying to add sound. However, because of the way speakers are built, that sound, that signature, that coloration is sneaking in almost in any step of the way, or can sneak in at every step of the way. And it's a daunting task to try to remove that. It really starts at the beginning. It's how the drivers are made, how they perform, how they're attached to the enclosure, how is the enclosure built, crossover parts, crossover topologies. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. On every step of the way, you have the opportunity to introduce coloration, something that is not there to begin with. And my goal as a designer to try and remove those sneaky alleys away from the design as much as possible.
Now, is that the reason why you believe in cabinets being completely inert so they can get out of the way? Is that one of the reasons why?
Absolutely. As you've seen, when you generate so much energy into an enclosure, keep in mind, everything that is being generated out is being generated back to the enclosure itself. It is very easy to build enough pressure to actually cause a movement, vibration inside the cabinet that will actually produce a sound of its own. Some of that sound, it's quite loud. And as you saw today in our measurement, you can actually measure the sound that the vibration are adding to whatever it is that you're hearing coming out of the speakers to bring us to such a high level design.
How important are measurements to you? Because there is a lot of talk about measurements not being necessarily a guarantee or an indicator that a product sounds as it should. So many brands are out there that don't measure well, but they sound phenomenal. And others who say just because something measures flat and perfect doesn't guarantee that they're going to like the presentation. For you and what you do, how important are measurements?
Well, measurements are very important. There is misconception of what measurements are in our industry, unfortunately, especially to end users. Flat frequency response means very little.
Okay.
It can be a good start, but it's only a start. In fact, if I have to pick what would be some of the most important measurement I would want to see, is I would actually choose other measurement like off-axis response before I would pick on-axis response. Yet everybody is concentrating on that. You can measure on-axis flat response and fail in so many other aspects of the design that, yeah, the speaker would be flat on axis, but would not sound good at all. But if you are not measuring well on the critical elements that are important, which are on-axis, off-axis, impedance, for instance, power, dispersion, etc., there is a set of measurement that if you fail in any of them, the speaker would have issues. Whatever you like the sound or not, that's an argument nobody can make. People can like whatever they like.
Have you at any point considered trying a different tweeter, diamond, plasma, ribbon? And if you have, what happened with those efforts?
If you saw my driver museum, you would realize that I tried
Yes.
everything on under this sun and other suns as well.